Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen. It's an engaging and enlightening talk show on life, relationships, and the business of life. Grab a cup of juice and just chill. Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen. Live life. Live fully.
It's great to have you once again. This is Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen. Now, my name is Omobola Stephen. If you want to catch up with any of my missed episodes, you can go online and search for Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen on any podcast distribution platform. And I guarantee you a worthwhile listening experience as you do so. Perhaps you can also hook up with me on my social media handles on LinkedIn, Omobola Stephen, on my Instagram page, Omobola_Ace, perhaps on my Twitter handle, Omobola Eliza, on my Facebook page, Blue Buttons Communications Networks. Now, on today's show, I'm not alone. I have Eyvindur Karlsson, who is an Icelandic singer-songwriter, author, actor, director, a translator, and a podcast host. Wow, I've got a total package. Now, Eyvindur has been a creative entrepreneur for over 15 years, and he will be sharing his wealth of experience on the show today. So welcome with me on Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen, having short for Eyvindur Karlsson.
Thank you.
All right, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, well, pleasure's all mine.
All right. So first, who is Eyvindur Karlsson?
Sorry? Who am I? That's a big question. I'm a singer-songwriter. As you said, I write a lot of music for, music that I perform myself and release albums and things like that. But I also write music and songs for theater. And usually I perform in the shows that I write music for as well. So I'll perform the music. And in some cases, I'm also an actor in those shows. Right now, I'm in a production. We actually are very, very fortunate. We are one of the few theaters in the world that is able to be open right now, which is great. So, yes. Right. It's fantastic. We just opened again last Saturday a show that I'm in, which is an adaptation of, it's a musical version of Pinocchio that I wrote the music, or I co-wrote the music for, and I'm also one of the actors in the show and performing the music. And we won an award last year for the Children's Show of the Year, and we're back now. So that's fantastic. I'm very lucky. And I'm also a translator. I do subtitles for films and TV. That's been my day job for a while, but I'm, I don't, it's just to make ends meet. Sometimes you have to do other things. But it's a nice job because it's creative in a way. I control my own hours. So it's a great thing to do alongside all of the other stuff that I do. And I write fiction. I've written a couple of radio series and a novel or two, and right now I'm also studying marketing. I'm getting a master's degree in marketing at the University of Iceland. So that's me in a nutshell. And I'm also married and a father of two wonderful boys. So that's me.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Now you're a serial entrepreneur. I know that. So now how have you been able to manage all of these?
Well, sometimes I haven't, to be honest. I have been known to bite off more than I can chew, and a couple of years ago, I had a almost like a breakdown, a burnout. I was doing way too many things, and I had huge anxiety, and that was a major problem. But over the last few years, I've been managing my workload more and prioritizing the things that I've been doing. So I really like to just stop and think, is this going to, first of all, is it going to bring me joy, the things that I'm doing right now? And second, are they going to progress me closer to where I want to go? So I have long-term and short-term. Anything that I do, I find I need to make sure I'm balancing my personal enjoyment of whatever I'm doing and whether it's getting me closer to my goals. And sometimes even the stuff that I'm doing to relax can also do that. I mean, if I'm sitting down to read a book or play a video game or watch a TV show or something, that is, in almost every case, that's also bringing me closer to my goals, because self-care and relaxing and all of that is such a big part of, if you're constantly worried about, oh, am I doing enough to progress? Am I right now, could I be working on my website, or could I be writing, or could I be doing this or that? Then it's going to drive you insane. So for me, it's sometimes I'll stop and think, should I really be doing this? And I realize, yes, because that's going to make me feel better when I wake up tomorrow, and I'll be able to focus.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Entrepreneur. First, I have two questions, two in one. First question is that how can you help your clients to identify their creative abilities? That's number one. The next, how can you help with turning this creativity into a business?
Well, that's a great question. I think the third one is easier to answer.
All right,
I think,
no problem.
If you have a handle, I think everybody is creative in a way, but we'll get back to that. But I think when it comes to turning your creativity into a business, there are two ways to approach, monetizing your skills. I think first of all, it's you can say, all right, what kind of problem can I solve? And that's the classic marketing approach is, find a pain point that somebody has, find a problem that somebody has, and figure out what you can do to solve that. And so if you approach it from that perspective, then you can say, all right, here's what I do. What sort of a problem does that solve? And that's the classic way. Me as an artist, I'm not solving a problem. No one has the problem of too little art. That's not a thing. So my approach, what I do is I think about the experience that my art provides, whether that's music or whether it's fiction or theater or whatever. What is the experience that I'm selling or offering? And what needs do people have that experience satisfies? And for me as a musician, my music is it's there. I have different styles, but it tends to be music that you listen to have a nice, it's a sort of cozy. It tends to be a bit dark, but familiar and nice at the same time. So my whole thing is, all right, so people who want to relax will enjoy this. If you want to sit down and have a cup of tea or something stronger and sit by a fire or light candles and put on an album, then that's my music. So that's been my approach, is sort of think, oh, okay, so what is the experience that I can offer? And my next step is, okay, so where can I find people who want this kind of experience? Because that's the segmentation. I mean, marketing is all about segmentation. You need to find your segment of the market, and that's mine. So that's the second thing. I think it's just define, either it's a problem that you solve if your creativity is that. I mean, if you, and I suppose as an artist, there are problems that I could solve for other artists. That's not what I've been focusing on really, although I do have some marketing experience, and I try to on my own podcast, I try to focus on that a little bit. But as an artist, it's about the experience. Now, the other part, sort of identifying your creative abilities. I think it comes. It's about what you're passionate about. In my opinion, we're all creative creatures. I mean, that's what makes us human.
That's right.
That's what separates humans from animals, in my opinion, at least most animals. Is that, because people say, oh, no, it's logic, but you can see animals use logic, and you can see animals, there are other animals that have forms of language, but I think that the one distinguishing feature of humans is that we're able to create things that never existed before. We have imagination and creativity, and it doesn't matter if you think you don't, then that's environmental. That's somebody has made you believe that, and it's not true.
That's right.
And so, in my opinion, you can cultivate that. You can learn. No matter how there are things that I never knew how to do that I've learned to do that are creative in nature, and a lot of people have. If you think about people that learn to cook as adults, that's creativity. That's you're
right.
learning a creative process. And so if you can learn to cook, which anybody can, then you can learn anything. If you're passionate about something, if you're passionate about stories, whether if you're passionate about writing or reading books, then you can learn to do that. So I think it comes down to what you're passionate enough about, that you're able to, that you can focus on it and take the time to learn how to do it. Being an artist, and I always say this to people who want to be professional artists or creatives, it's very, very hard. And for that reason, you have to be extremely passionate, so much effort and energy and hard work. And, a lot of people think that it's, it sounds very romantic to be, you're going to be a professional musician or professional actor. It's like 10% of those days are fantastic, and 90% are just hard work. And then you have days that are absolutely terrible. And you need the good days take care of themselves. You need to be passionate enough to make it through the very, very, very bad days that you inevitably encounter. So I think, if you think about what really gets you excited, that's where your creativity lies as well, because without passion, creativity it's nothing.
That's right. Thank you so much, Eyvind, for that brilliant, insights and also strategy. Now let's go to the Umu side. What fondest memory do you have as a comedian?
Oh, wow. Well, I have a lot of very bad memories as a comedian, but my fondest memory as a comedian.
I want the good one.
Yeah, good one. Yeah, that's harder to find. No, no. There have been so many, but I think my favorite. So because I used to do stand-up comedy, I don't do that anymore. That's too hard. But I always do some comedy, through acting and through various things. And I think my favorite experience, which has been an ongoing thing, has been I started this. Well, I didn't start it, but I was brought into this thing, and I eventually bought the company, which is called Follow Me, and we do free walking tours in Reykjavik, Iceland, and that's sort of a comedy tour. So I meet people from all over the world, and I take them around the downtown area of Reykjavik, the capital of Iceland, and I tell them about Icelandic history, and I tell them about historic buildings and all that stuff, and I get to tell a lot of jokes, and it's a very funny tour, and I think that's my favorite thing, because I get to meet all these people, and it's not just me standing on a stage talking. It's an interaction, and people laugh a lot, and they're very happy, and it's a low risk comedy environment, because stand-up comedy is a high risk environment, because you go on stage, you have nothing but your microphone and your brain. And whereas as a musician, I have a guitar, and it's like my shield, so I can do that. And if I tell a joke on stage as a musician and nobody laughs, it's fine. I'll play a song. If I tell a joke on stage as a comedian and nobody laughs, I'm dead. If I'm doing a walking tour and I tell a joke and nobody laughs, that's fine, because they didn't come for comedy. That's just an extra. So I think that's my favorite part, and that's sort of most of the comedy that I do nowadays, or did before COVID. But
great. Thank you so much for that. It's been Omobola Stephen. Now, having a worthwhile, time with Eyvindur Karlsson, who is an Icelandic songwriter. He's also a podcast host and a serial entrepreneur. Now, challenges most budding entrepreneurs are facing in this area of pandemic, and what solutions can you advise or you can offer?
Well, I think that's there. It totally depends on your field. I mean, my business has been shut down now since March. Well, one of my my sort of travel business, and I don't know. There's nothing to do. We're just waiting. Fortunately, it's a very small business, so it doesn't cost us anything to just wait, and we can just focus on other things while we wait. But I mean, I don't know, 80% or something of the tourism industry has just disappeared in Iceland and all over the world, I think.
That's right,
But I've actually been in contact with a lot of people in performing arts, and there it's a lot of people are struggling and a lot of people are not. And I think there it's all about creative problem solving, and that comes back to what I was talking about with the experience, where your first priority or your first thought when it comes to your business needs to be, what is my experience? What is my quote unquote product? Maybe you have an actual product, and maybe the product is you and your experience, but that's for the sake of simplicity. Let's say what is the or rather not what is the product, but what is it that people are getting through my product? And it comes back to a core principle of marketing. There's I think this was written in 1960 or 1940s. An article named or called "Marketing Myopia," and it's I forget the writer, which is bad. But anyway, it's the point of the article is that the reason that the railway companies mostly went out of business when cars arrived on the scene and airplanes and buses and all that, was that the railways, they thought of themselves as railway companies as opposed to transport companies. And same goes for like oil companies that focus on oil instead of energy. And I think that if you consider yourself a stage performer as opposed to generally a performing artist, then that's going to harm you. If you think, all right, so this is the experience, how can I now deliver that to people without actually being in the same room as them? Then that's going to spark your creative process of solving that issue of getting yourself out there. And there's a very good example of this. I interviewed some people for a school assignment, actually. Me and another person, we interviewed a few performing artists, and they mostly were struggling and didn't really they had some online opportunities, but they were actually approached by companies to say, okay, can you come and do your thing through Zoom or whatever? And so they weren't. There were two people who were actually sort of actively problem solving, and they were the ones that were doing the best, because they thought outside the box and said, all right, so let's not just go and do the same thing in front of a webcam, but let's figure out something new that I can do. So one of them started an online bingo, and for corporate things, events, online events for corporations. And he's doing better than he ever was before the pandemic. So just because he thought, all right, so I can't go and do my normal routine on stage. So what can people do through the internet? Well, they can play online bingo, and I can be the host. And to no pun intended, bingo. It was a bingo moment, and he's So I think. Because he didn't try to translate his normal offering through the internet. He just decided, all right, let's create something that works for me as an experience for the people that I market to. And I also interviewed a girl on my podcast, and in England, who's a cabaret performer, and she created this new online persona because her cabaret thing didn't translate to the internet. So she created a new poetry thing to be able to perform on the internet. So it's I think how well you adapt to any situation, whether it's this or something, there will always be adversities. This is obviously bigger than anybody could have predicted, but you always have to assume that something could happen. I mean, I could break my leg and I can't do my thing the way I normally do it. So I have to be able to think in terms of solutions. And,
that's right.
And then it all comes down to, okay, so what is my core experience that I'm offering people?
Great. Thank you so much, Evan. Now, talking about translating, do you have any latest work as a translator?
I'm translating TV series all the time. Mostly there's just there's a TV station here that I do subtitles for, and I've been doing it for 15 years. So that's I mean, nothing exciting, just talk reality shows and so nothing exciting there.
So I want to hear your podcast.
My podcast, yes. My podcast is called the Artemist Podcast, and the Artemist is a clever play on words that I thought would be very funny, but nobody gets it unless I explain it. But it's the artist and alchemist, so it's all about turning art into gold. That's the premise, and I started it because I was kind of spinning my wheels a little bit as an artist when it comes to marketing. I didn't really have the greatest grasp on a lot of things when it comes to marketing art. And so I thought I would start a podcast where I bring on people. There are certain things that I do know, and so I do episodes about that. But then I bring on people that I want to learn from. So I bring them on as guests and ask them about what they do. So somebody who's really good with social media marketing, I want to bring on and learn, because that's something that I'm not good at. I recently interviewed a guy who's great at networking, which is not one of my strong suits. So it's me learning, and hopefully listeners learning while I'm asking the questions that you want to ask somebody when you don't know anything about the topic, you don't know anything,
right? Or is it calling, right?
It's an interview show. No, it's not a call-in show. No, I haven't done that yet. Anyway, no. But sometimes I just discuss things that I am knowledgeable about. So I do have solo shows where it's just me, and then and then I also do interviews.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Eyvindur Karlsson, for coming to Omobola TV. Now to my last question. I wanted to share your songwriting and acting portfolio. Can you?
Yes. Yeah. Just go through what I've done.
Sure.
Yeah. I started doing musical direction for theater, I guess when I was like 20 years old or something. 20 years ago. and acting as well. I did a lot of amateur theater back then, and I was doing a lot of stuff at the same time. I was doing acting and writing and music and everything. So I had a little bit of trouble deciding what I wanted to be when I grow up. I then focused on writing and playing music for years, and I was playing a lot of bars and things around Iceland. I didn't. I released an album that was very sort of under the radar with a friend of mine, and then it took me about 10 years to actually get my second or my first solo album done. Mostly just because I was just going through anxiety issues and low self-esteem and a lot of stuff like that held me back. I eventually got that. So 2 years ago, I released that album, and that's been going better than the first one. And now my second album is it should have been out, but I postponed it because of COVID. So it's going to be released in May, probably, because I want to be able to hopefully play some concerts and things. I went and I studied theater directing. I graduated from a school in England, in London, called East 15 about 10 years ago. And I've directed a few plays since then. And over the past sort of 5 years, I've been getting somewhat steady work as an actor and musician here in Iceland, in theater. So I've been doing it for about 20 years, but most of the stuff that I've done has been over the past 5 years, and this is now the second children's musical that I'm involved with, and both of those have gotten an award as the Children's Show of the Year.
Oh, great!
So that's sort of about it, I think. And actually, I have a website. If people want to check out some of my music, they can go to onebadday.rocks. And there you can get a free EP and listen to that. And if you're interested, you can buy some of my other music and all of that good stuff.
All right. Thank you so much. I wish you best of luck in all your endeavors.
Thank you. You too. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you once again for coming to Live Well Lived by Omobola Stephen, and thank you for hanging around with me. Let's do this some other time till I come your way. I need you to stay safe always. It's bye for now.
Say it again, say it again. You're saying you're sorry, so say it again. Only you can make my world go black. Say you love me, then you take it back.